anti-capitalist suggests that inflation isn't real.
Are you talking disinflation?
Yes.
That we actually we're not seeing a surge in prices?
No, disinflation means the inflation rate is decreasing over time.
Well, so there is some evidence to show that, for example, televisions, iPhones.
Specific products, that's not an illustration of all of inflation, though.
No, I was going to agree with you that.
Okay.
But if you just go to a grocery store, eggs are far more expensive than they were 2 years ago. You don't have to overthink it. I mean, the college degree here at this university, what is it per year, guys?
30,000.
How much?
They've been
10 in state, 30,000 out of state. Yeah, 10 years ago, I bet it was 18,000 out of state, right? So
Yes, but they've been trying to raise the Cal State tuition for quite some time, even before inflation spiked to its current levels, or previous levels about a year ago. They've just been delaying it for quite some time. So
yeah,
it's not
I mean,
exactly...
We're living through a decades-long inflation surge, and the best evidence you could see it either in the artificial boosting of profit-earning ratios. Go ahead.
Even during like Trump's administration, inflation was actually quite low, so that's not
No, it was low then,
necessarily
but
true.
it's not low right now.
Yes, but why was it low then, would you say?
Well, because we had economic growth, and we weren't borrowing $2 to $3 trillion a year.
We actually were. We were borrowing quite a bit of money.
We were borrowing about $1 trillion a year.
Still quite a bit.
So we're borrowing about triple that right now.
Yes.
Do you agree?
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
got
I mean,
it.
I think that's how the math works
so
out.
triple in the law of big numbers is a big deal. So borrowing $800 billion, not excusable. Borrowing $2.5 trillion, morally reprehensible.
Morally, why exactly morally is there
Well,
a distinction between 1 and 3 trillion? Very arbitrary.
Because
guys.
everyone here is going to have to pay off that debt, and that dollar that you think is going to have value is decreasing by the day. Whether you're pro-choice or Democrat.
But inflation is something that's going to occur no matter what.
Can
Sorry.
I finish? Okay.
I apologize.
It's okay. Inflation is not a guaranteed human norm. That's not true, but I'll get to that in a second. Every single person here, it will be harder than ever for you to own a home. So inflation is immoral because you're going to enter into a housing market where everything costs 3 times as much in the housing market than it did a decade ago. You will not be able to afford a down payment, let alone even be able to build the capital necessary
True.
for other goods and services that
True.
you might want to build wealth. And you know who does benefit is your parents' generation and baby boomers, no
True.
offense, that
True.
do own their assets and you won't. And so, secondly, inflation is a choice. It's not built into the human experience.
Poor kid wearing a Kanye shirt. Wow. I wonder if he even knows who Milton Friedman is. Now, this is a lot of heavy economic stuff, but you just can't say that inflation isn't real, okay? We're living through it right now. When you have a country that continues to print money and cancel student loan debt and do all of these terrible economic things, what do you think is going to happen? This money has to come from somewhere. That's how inflation is created. And this kid, I mean, he's trying, he's polite, he's not rude. I think he's just young and misguided, and I don't think he's read any books on great economists of the world. And there's a lot of, yeah, great. And I love when Charlie Kirk sort of says that during the financial crisis of 2008, that we should have let these big banks fail. So they bailed out the big banks. So it was brutal capitalism for the working class, and it was socialism for the rich. Doesn't make any sense. And none of those banking executives went to jail. And then you contrast that with January 6th. Grandmas who walked through the Capitol are sitting in prison, where not one single banking executive has done 1 day of jail time. You know what was big during that 2008 crisis was those adjustable rate mortgages that you couldn't let people out of. That should be a crime. A lot of good, hardworking Americans lost their homes. And these banks said, we can't do anything. While they watch their mortgage rates go up and their payments go up. That's a bigger crime than anything that happened on January 6th. So Elizabeth Warren was right on this one, and I like the way that Charlie Kirk explains it. He always has such a great way and a dearth of knowledge in explaining all of these very complex economic issues. But these poor kids, and again, another college-age kid that's being fed a load of BS from a professor without ever having to really think independently, he's really being shown the way here. And maybe this is a wake-up call. I also wonder where he's going to be in 5 years. Is he going to be some like social justice warrior? I bet you he's going to be working in freaking banking. Let's face it. This kid is not going to be sitting there saying, wait a minute, I have student loans, or I have bills to pay, or I want to live in a nice apartment, wearing his Kanye shirt. I just want to see the trajectory of this kid in 5 years. Kudos to Charlie Kirk for potentially showing him the way.